Africa. Many say it has the most breathtaking scenery, more so than any other place in the world. For those who have seen and experienced the lives of real African culture, they know that the beauty of Africa is not what lies on the rolling plains, but what carries on inside the individuals who cope with their life situations every day.
I've always had an interest in Africa and other cultures.
I'd never been out of the country, so I thought that it'd just be a good opportunity for me to see the world. On the trip, we had 2 otolaryngologists, a retired nurse, and then a handful of students, 2 students, one pre-nursing and I was pre-med. And so we just set up a little makeshift clinic. I ran the pharmacy, and the 2 doctors would see people and prescribe medicine. And since it was winter, most of the ailments were respiratory.
Basic things, everything down to sanding down walls, to repaint, to helping out people in need, and bringing food and toys, bringing fabric so that they could make clothes, and other things along the lines of children's materials for school.
Chris Lynch and Elspeth Pierce did more than just humanitarian work. They joined forces with CTC to make peace between the Episcopal Diocese of Kenya and Kansas.
There's been a rift in the Episcopal Church for the past several years. The divide happened between the Diocese of Kenya and the Diocese of Kansas. And so it was very interesting seeing the 2 leaders of these organizations meeting and actually finding common ground. We stayed around in an area called Kibera, which is about the size of Central Park in New York, and about 1 million people live there.
There are 3 significant components that keep Kibera from excelling: rate of petty and serious crime, lack of building foundations, and too many people with not enough room.
The hardest part, I think, is the level of poverty.
In Kenyan society, women aren't allowed to hold property. This lady, since she had 2 daughters, there were no heirs to this property, and her in-laws came and took everything. And so she owns absolutely nothing. Her rent has not been paid in years. She lives in a 1-room little cement building in the middle of the largest slum in Africa. She's got a few chickens, and that's how she feeds her daughters. She can't work because she has to care for her daughters.
It's unexplainable, the level of poverty. They have 3 public restrooms, but most people don't use them. There's no trash disposal, so everything is thrown on the streets.
The school came and toured her house and said that it was too nice for her to get a sponsorship for her daughters. So her situation is probably never going to get any better unless somebody actually comes to help her.
About 10% of Kenyans suffer from HIV. However, 72% of Kiberans are affected.
This kind of skin rash is a telltale sign of an HIV infection. The translator leaned over to the little boy and explained to him that he was going to have to be HIV tested, and the kid, he didn't even flinch. AIDS to them isn't as scary as AIDS to us. They could die in 3 days. And so dying in 5 years is not as scary as their immediate situation.
Everyone there is very happy and loves everyone around them, and they definitely have a feel of everyone's in it together.
Lynch and Pierce brought more than memories back. They gained life lessons and the yearning to return to Kibera.
If I can, I would like to go back as soon as possible.
I'm scheduled to go back in June.
My hope is that between times of school, I'll be able to get back shortly within the next few years.
The biggest lesson that I learned had to have been that the world is definitely bigger than me.
We're allowed to have these dreams of what we want to do and what we want to add to society, as opposed to how do I get through the next day? How do I feed my family? Do I need to worry about whether or not I'm going to die tomorrow?
Wherever I am currently, how bad my life is, how good my life is, the world is much bigger. And everything that I do should be geared towards that.